By the way, if you hear ribs crack, make a face, make vomit noises if you have to, tell the person their bones are grossing you out, but don't stop compressions. What is a survival myth that is completely wrong and could get you killed? Follow flying birds to find water. They can simply be flying to spend a night anywhere, so we can't rely on them. Fish are the ones you should follow to find water. That's why I always carry a goldfish on desert expeditions. Don't eat snow to stay hydrated. If you're in a winter survival situation, losing the heat to the snow while eating it is more dangerous than dehydration. Heat it up or let it melt in a container first to lose less heat. Don't stand underneath doorways in case of earthquakes. Doors and door frames are just not made the same anymore, so you're more likely to sustain more serious injuries if you do. You're better off staying hidden underneath a desk or table. Closest I can think of as bracing yourself if you are about to get in an accident. Try to go limp, you're more likely to walk away with minor injuries if you go limp. That's how drunk drivers survive crashes. If you get stabbed with anything, don't pull it out since it could be the thing that prevents you from bleeding out. Instead, immobilize it, and go to the hospital where they can stop the bleeding when they remove the object. If you have to forage for food, avoid mushrooms entirely. Odds are so slim you will find an edible kind that you're much better off looking for things like nuts, seeds, and berries. Edit, this is not the myth, this is the truth. Herbivorous animals are friendly and peaceful, so you are safe being around them and their presence will show you where food is. Completely false. Seriously, everything from cows to deer can, and will kill you if you make it angry. It is usually a good idea if you are in the wilds not to get near any large wild animal, but herbivores can often be even more aggressive than the predators. Apparently some people think the best way to survive a wolf attack is to bend down, and show the wolf you're submissive towards him and pose as no threat. If you do this, you're dead. The wolf will 100% kill you. Your best bet is to walk away without turning your backs on them, maintaining eye contact the whole way. If you look away or turn your back, the wolf's killer instinct will kick in, and it'll kill you. Don't make a lot of noise, and aggressive movements towards a wolf the same way you do to a black bear because most likely it'll be seen as a challenge, not a threat. Not quite a survival myth but interesting nonetheless. Paradoxical undressing, it is when you are hypothermic but still remove your clothes, explains why dead people are sometimes found naked out in snowy ranges. It is usually during the final stages of hypothermia, and the theory is that your blood vessels give up on constricting blood flow to your skin, peripheries. So you suddenly feel super warm, and remove all your clothes, which in turn causes you to die quicker. If you ever find yourself in snake country, make as much noise as possible. Most people want to avoid snakes, so stay quiet, but they are more scared of you than you are of them. Talk loudly, stomp, but obviously keep an eye and ear out for any fellas who don't want you to be there. Source: Australian. Removing a bullet is more dangerous than leaving it in. Trying to remove it can tear vital organs, it can be pushed in even deeper, or removing it can cause the person to bleed out. Yep. There is pretty much no reason to ever go digging around in a gunshot wound in the field with a pair of pliers, trying to get a bullet out. Your only goal is to control bleeding and, if possible, prevent infection. And then get to a hospital, because if you got a gut or chest shot you're going to die in one of many horrible, slow ways if you don't get into surgery. You do not need to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. If you think someone is missing, report it as such. The faster a missing person report is filed, the greater the chance the person will be found. The first 48 hours are the most important in missing persons cases too. The 24 hours thing applies mostly to adults who are unlikely to have been abducted and are more likely to have just gone somewhere. But it all comes down to urgency and vulnerability. For children, you can file if they have been missing for 20 minutes and police will get on it, and search the immediate area. This also applies to people who have learning difficulties, depression, suicidal tendencies, dementia, etc. Anything that makes them vulnerable. Australian doc here. Sucking a snakebite will often make it worse. What you want to do is stop the venom from traveling from the site of the bite, into the lymphatic system, and then into the bloodstream. Do not suck, cut, wash or otherwise investigate the wound. Do not try to catch or kill the snake. Identifying the kind of snake is not worth the risk of a second bite, and the delay in getting to your other priorities. Priority 1: Get away from the snake. Priority 2: Get help. Get someone nearby to call an ambulance, or worst case scenario, call yourself. Priority 3: Stay still. Moving your muscles is what helps pump the fluid through your lymphatic system and to the lymph nodes, where it can enter the bloodstream quickest. Ideally keep the bite below your heart, but immobilization is the most important thing. Priority 4. If there is someone with you, get them to apply a pressure dressing to tightly compress the whole limb. This can greatly slow the flow of lymph, and buy you hours. The issue with a tourniquet, as opposed to full limb * compression, is that you're not actually preventing the spread of lymph up the limb. Taking the tourniquet off then becomes very risky for a sudden influx of venom into the central circulation, and has serious risks of permanent damage, and loss to the limb. Edit: I can only speak for what to do for Australian snakes. Other areas obviously have different species and perhaps correspondingly different guidelines. If you are doing outdoorsy crap in other continents, make sure you know basic first aid relevant to that specific location. Rescue breaths are wildly overrated in most movies and TV shows. You'll see someone in cardiac arrest, and the rescuer will stop giving compressions and focus on breathing into a person's mouth and blammo. Awake, alert, alive. No. Don't do that. Your body does store a fairly decent amount of oxygen in its blood at all times. If someone in front of you overdoses, and their mouth is covered with saliva, vomit, or someone collapses in front of you of a suspected cardiac arrest, your plan of action is twofold. 1. Are they breathing or do they have a pulse? This is easy to mess up, especially in a moment of panic. My rule, as an EMS provider, is that if you don't feel it in 10 seconds, it's not there. Start compressions. If they are not in cardiac arrest, they will let your ass know, and the law covers you under Good Samaritan clauses in most of these cases. 2. If you are the only person attending to this body, do not stop and give rescue breaths if help is on the way, and will be there soon. It takes about 4 to 7 decent compressions to get blood recirculating in the body after stopping to give mouth to mouth. That's a lot of blood, carrying a lot of vital oxygen reserves, that aren't making it to the brain. Obviously, if you're a long way out from help, and you feel safe to do so, give rescue breaths. But it should never be priority number 1. By the way, if you hear ribs crack, make a face, make vomit noises if you have to, tell the person their bones are grossing you out, but don't stop compressions. Because what are compressions? That's right. They are number 1. One thing you see a lot in older movies, and even today, is to conserve your water if you're in a desert, or if you lack water. Never do that. If all you do is drink enough to stop being thirsty, the water won't reach necessary organs, and parts of your body. Over time you'll be underhydrated, and can suffer the effects of dehydration without ever feeling thirsty. The best usage of your water is to drink at a set interval even if you're not thirsty. Also, don't drink large amounts of water all at once, your body won't be used to it, and more of it is going to be wasted via urination than if you space out reasonably sized swigs throughout the day. In the same vein, if you are ever hiking, working, or going to be outside in hot and dry climates, leave the shorts and tank top at home, and instead go for thin and loose-fitting long-sleeve shirts, and loose-fitting pants. The biggest threat to your health is the sun. Avoid direct sun exposure whenever possible. Sunblock is solid enough for shorter trips, but you're going to be sweating off even the best of the stuff, so be sure to constantly reapply when directed to, or if your skin gets too wet. Loose-fitted clothing also helps slow down how fast your sweat will evaporate into the air. Normally you want to have sweat evaporate, as that is how your body will lose the excess heat, as the sweat will draw heat away from your body and cool you down when wind hits you. But in this case you're losing sweat too fast for your body to transfer much, if any heat, as the sun is hot enough to evaporate your sweat as soon as you start sweating. Limiting your evaporation also stops you from wasting a ton of water via constantly sweating, which is one of the biggest factors of water loss you should avoid. Like and subscribe for more funny, interesting, and scary r/ask Reddit videos.